there's issues with being an online figure, right? And receiving this sort of fame and popularity, sometimes maybe difficult to deal with. And one of the criticisms, and I'm not just directing it at you, I've been criticized of this. I don't think that I'm very guilty of it, but that's another story. Um, Many people criticize the du'at online for quote unquote chasing the algorithm, or
Mm.
doing things for clicks and views, or being too, I don't know, flamboyant.
Yeah.
Now, I've been accused of this. You have, many people have. In fact, I don't know if you've seen Brother Hamza Sources recently. He appeared on a podcast called the Life Hawk Podcast, which I
Mm.
recommend people watch. I thought it was very interesting. I think it's something that pretty much everybody should watch,
Mm.
where he discussed this. Okay. And he mentioned that, in his opinion, that it is a genuine problem, that there are du'at and maybe even shuyukh and people who are online that are seeking and chasing the algorithm. In fact, these are his words, not mine. But he said, and he labeled them, and he said he's doing this purposely. He's called them Dawah pimps, right?
Mm.
And algorithm prostitutes. So I don't know if he's mentioned this kind of language to you, if you've seen him say these things. But what do you think about this? Do you think that this is a genuine issue today? I mean, do
Yeah.
you feel like you're personally affected by it at all? Because I know that you were talking a bit about yourself, but you've been accused of this. I just want to know, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think this is a genuine
Yeah.
criticism or not?
I think that, like, there's two elements of it. I think, the attitude, or how I come across, that's actually how I am. And anyone who's met me in person and has known me through the years, there's never been anyone who's ever said that, okay,
Mhm.
he in private is different to the way he's in public. So that's just, if someone sees me in private, and this is a challenge to anybody who's ever seen me and met me.
Mhm.
It's true though. If that's the way I laugh, the way I talk, the way I behave, that's just how I am. Whether there's a camera on me or there's no camera, there's almost
Mhm.
no difference whatsoever. However, so that's one element. The other element about chasing fame and stuff like that, I always do think that is a problem, actually. And there's obviously a hadith on that, which I think is in Tirmidhi, where the is mentioned that there are two wolves, and one of them is fame and one of them is status, jah,
Mhm.
or status in general. So, and that basically that they're too hungry, actually, wolves, and that you can easily be devoured by the sheep is going to be devoured by those two things. There are things in the Sharia that are mentioned, like fame, like money, like power,
Mhm.
like women. Okay, that
Mhm.
anybody who is involved with these things, who denies that they affect him, is almost implausible at that stage. Now, some people, I would say, of those four things, power, women, in the case of men especially, uh,
Fame.
power, fame, and what's the other one I mentioned? Money, right? Those four things. Some people are more affected by one more than the other.
What do you think you're personally more affected by?
I think it's to do with attention. I think it's this seeking a validation from the public. I think that's
Mhm.
what it is, and that probably comes from some kind of childhood trauma or lack of a father figure in the household or something. I
Mhm.
mean, that's what at least my counselor friends and psychologists have told me. I mean, it's why do I act this way?
Mhm.
Why do I almost try and seek attention? It could be just the fact that I'm using the public as a means of getting the attention that I never got when I was a child from a certain
Mhm.
father figure. Do you know what I mean? It could be that.
No,
If you
no, I mean, it's true. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm just trying to be honest here as possible. But does
No,
it?
I appreciate that. I appreciate you being honest and saying it. I mean, I'm not trying to put you in a corner or anything, because
Yeah.
I've been accused of this. Pretty much anybody who's been online and has some level of popularity, they've been accused of, probably accusing me or you of this now. I mean, why are Jake and Brother Hijab doing this video? They're probably doing it for views and whatever. But I mean, honestly, that's not the case for me, and I don't think for you in this case. But
It's
I,
addictive as well. Like when your numbers start to go up, especially there are some
Mhm.
platforms which are more addictive than the others. It's a bit like a slot machine in gambling. Like you're
Mhm.
always seeing which tweet is going to be the one that does it, or which video is going to be the one that does it. So I appreciate there's like a
Well,
dopamine
how do
element.
you deal with that, Achi? I mean, if
Yeah.
you're mentioning that that is a genuine challenge even for yourself.
Yes.
One thing is how are you dealing or coping with that, number one, and number two, do you think you've fallen short when it comes to that at certain times?
Yes. To answer your second question first, I think I've definitely fallen short because it's, once again, if we're being honest here, like, you know, it's an addictive drug, social media, not just consumption, but also distribution, you know, because as I mentioned, I'm sure there's a dopaminergic reaction that when you make a video and you get 500,000 views or 200,000, 300,000 views, and there's, you know, 20 or 30,000 people speaking about it. I'm sure that does something to your physiology. I will be surprised if anybody says that I done this debate or I done this live stream or I done this thing, and this many people were were present, and I had zero feeling as if I was in a place with one person or two people. That for me would be hard to believe on anybody. Like if anyone said that. So I've had to categorize it as such. It's social media, whether it's consumption or whether it's distribution, has a highly addictive element.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. And you should, once you understand this point. Okay, so I understand this point. There was a time where I had life-threatening illness, and I had to take morphine every day, 300 milligrams, which is like the maximum dose. And I was even taking some other things because the pain was actually quite bad. So I was taking that for many, many months, which is an opioid. Like for people that know, morphine is the strongest kind of opioid. It's like heroin, essentially. It's the same family as heroin. And I was taking that, and it was like for medicinal purposes. And I've got all kinds of stories and all kinds of mistakes I made at the time as well. But when I was taking that, now it's the time I thought I could just come off it. And I tried to come off it. In one day, my body started shivering and shutting down and stuff. And I said, what's going on? So I spoke to my doctor and I said, you can't do that. You got to wean off it. You know, so I had to have a program of weaning off it. And it took me a good 3-4 months to, you know, fully wean off that because my body doesn't get shocked. The reason why I bring this to your attention is because just like drugs, like, you know, opioids and stuff like that, is addictive. We have to identify what the addictions are in the world. Like, I think that's the first stage of the AA, right? We can't be in denial about this stuff. Social media is addictive. Chocolate can be addictive. Coffee can be addictive. Love can be addictive. And it's probably the most powerful one of them all. Like if some people just addicted to falling in love all the time. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Sex can be a very, very, very addictive thing as well. You know, so these are things that, and that's why Ramadan is such a beautiful time. We've got a month coming up and there's Ramadan, because it just forces you to strip away what you're addicted to. It disconnects you from all that stuff. And so I appreciate and I acknowledge that social media, whether it's distribution or consumption, is addictive. The way I try and deal with it is I have programs and routines. So for example, I'll do 2 videos maximum a week. I won't look at the comments as much as I would look at them before. I just do my thing. You know, the screen time, generally speaking, my screen time is quite good, except for recently. I've been on Twitter for a long time, more than I usually do, because of the whole Elon Musk controversy. So I would monitor that stuff quite diligently and try and compartmentalize and routinize my life so that it's not, this addiction is a controlled addiction, if you want. And that if I wanted to and I could stop it and it wouldn't have a detrimental physiological, spiritual impact on me. And I think that's the furthest I can take it, considering it's kind of like what I do for a living, but that's the furthest I can take.
Yeah.